My gang, Saturday morning here. The usual suspects, I'm sure. There's no sunshine this morning, so we're able to put the camera over to the east side. So back to cloudy. It's too bad. When it's a cloudy day, the levitating pole looks better, but on a cloudy day, the camera can go this way. So. Well, what's going on this morning here? Something, a little bit of a distraction has come up here, Italy. So we need this piece of wood. Okay, slight distraction this morning. We're going to be doing color blocks, but not, you're supposed to be doing the current color block for the chibi, Patreon chibis, which are due this month. But I've got another job that has bounced that for a day. I have to make 3 color blocks using this old wood. How do we introduce this? Those of you who were here a couple of weeks ago may remember on the show and tell that day I showed this print. It had come back from Kawai-san, one of our staff printers, and he's been working at home. He's been doing some test printing on some very old blocks we've got, blocks that are over 100 years old, from the Takamizawa company. And they turned out really, really, really well. So we were thinking we should do a series of these. So when that one came back from him, I sent him another set of blocks from the old series as well. And he's been doing some test printing on that. And he's done some test printing, but he sent it back to me and said, Dave, we have a problem. I can make it work sort of, but I sort of can't make it work. And he needs some recuts. He needs some block fixing. This is not an official show and tell, but here we are. So this is a print Kawai-san has made as a test proof, using some of the old blocks. And here's the key block, and it is astonishingly detailed carved. Try to get a better view. Here we are. This is a view of the Kaminarimon in Tokyo, the old original Kaminarimon back in the Edo time, much bigger than the current Kaminarimon. And the scale, I mean, look at those people walking around. That's my finger. Here's a proof from it. I get that little grandma there with a stick. We showed this to you months ago when I got these blocks. So anyway, so he's had this block set for a week or so, doing some testing on it. And he has made, this is one of the prints he's made from it. It sort of looks okay, but it's not okay enough. For example, if you look at the red, he's got it lined up. The red seems to fit within the lines here at the bottom of the red block. But when you go to the top of the red block, can you see the gap there? The red doesn't fit in between the lines anymore. Now he's tried it, he soaked the red block to expand it and make it bigger, but he just could not get it to work. So he's asked me, Dave, please cut a new red block. He also had a lot of trouble with one of the sky blocks. You can see it doesn't fit, and there was no way he could expand it to make it fit. So he asked me, please carve a new sky block. I did that last night. I cut a new block for that sky area, and this morning I now have to cut a new block for this red area. So what we've done is it's exactly the same process that we see happening in the chibi prints here. I printed this last night. I took the key block, printed with our Gumby paper, an impression from it, and I now have to do the coloring in for the red, paste it down, and carve a red block. So it's exactly the same job as I should have been doing. Was it a postcard? It wasn't actually a postcard for mailing. It was just a woodblock print made in the same size as postcards, but it wasn't something that would have been mailed. In my collection upstairs, I have lots of these Takamizawa prints. They did a famous album, a set of 100 prints in an album, and they were all reproductions of this size. This block set, actually, let me show you the block that he's asked me to recut, because this is so cool. This block set, at some point, seems to have been in a fire. Let me try and get some of these for you. I don't remember if we showed this before in some show and tell or not. Look at this. The blocks are sort of okay, and then at one point, at the ends, they're all charred and black. Now, I have no knowledge of Takamizawa ever having a fire, but I don't know anything about their whole history, of course. So some of them are actually, there's a huge chunk missing at one end. You can see some charred. It's actually black, charred. It's a real beat up block set. It's a block set with a real history. But even that, with all that charring and stuff, he could still get this beautiful print out of it. Yeah, this is probably the same one, Karen. No, again, we've got 20 or so of these block sets from this thing. They must have been in a fire at some point. And so we're trying to get this set back to life. So my job right now is to try and identify the red zones here. Then we'll paste it down and start carving. From an Edo print shop. No, this is not Edo era stuff. That's all. This is well, we know that Takamizawa history. I think they started in late Meiji, maybe early Taisho. So a block set like this is pre-war. Whatever, 100 years. This is now 2020. This would be 1920, somewhere around there. Maybe 1920. I don't know. In the key blocks instinct, it's a laminate. There's a light wood at the bottom. It's perhaps a magnolia. You couldn't possibly use that for a key block. And then glued on top is about 4 or 5 millimeters of a harder wood, maybe a really harder cherry. And that's what the key was carved on. The Kaminarimon, the gate, the Thunder Gate, the famous lantern at the entrance to Sensoji Temple. This is the area, we have it today still, this is the main street that runs by over the river. This is where the current gate is, the one with the big famous lantern. Then we go up Nakamise, this is the street with all the small shops until you go up over to the left here up towards Sensoji Temple. And during the Edo era there was a big gate and a lantern there, Kaminarimon. But apparently it burned down and was rebuilt and was burned down and rebuilt a number of times, and at some point they gave up and said, screw this, we don't need this here, and they gave up. That was in about 1860, just at the end of the Edo time going into Meiji. So there was no gate here, there was no Kaminarimon gate from 1860 to about 1960. For 100 years, the famous gate that we all know wasn't there. There was just what they called Nakamise Iriguchi, the entrance to Nakamise. The main street was there. There was no lantern or gate, and it just went into the Nakamise up towards Sensoji Temple. There's lots of photographs of that. We've got some photos in one of our albums upstairs. There was no famous red gate lantern. And come the 1960s, Tokyo got the Olympics, and somewhere the idea came up, and I have no idea where this started. Somewhere the idea came up, let's put the gate back, let's make a symbol for Tokyo, let's put the Kaminarimon back and fix things up, ready for all the visitors who are coming for the Olympics. And the idea did go through. And I don't know whose idea it was, whether the idea came from the city or the government or the Olympic people or whatever, but they did build it, but they needed money to do so. And the money came from a man called Matsushita Konosuke, very rich man at the time, big business leader. He ran a company called Matsushita Denki. And his company supplied the funds, and maybe they actually did the building, I have no idea. And in return, their name got put on the thing. And even now, when you go under there and you just look up at that lantern, the big red lantern has a gold band at the bottom of it. And on one side it's got his name, Matsushita Konosuke. That's fine, the guy paid for the thing, so let's put his name on it. And the other side has the name of his company, Matsushita Denki, which most of you guys overseas know by a different name, because Matsushita Denki, when they sell their products overseas, they use the brand name Panasonic. And that's how the current gate came, and all the tourists stand underneath that lantern and get their pictures taken with it, and in big, big brass letters on the side of the lantern it says Panasonic in Japanese. Can't trust you guys with anything, can I? funny, the joke here, somebody's talking about marrying the landlady, you know, I know. Whatever, I can't, this is landlady, no. But there's a similar related story that goes back a bunch more years to before we had this Asakusa shop. Not this place, but another building nearby. A person that we knew, one of these suppliers of one of the products that I use in my printmaking. I had been in her shop one day. Well, she was elderly. She's long gone now. She was, my parents' age, I guess, something like that. You know, this was an elderly lady who was making one of the products that we use here. And she has a shop, or had, this is all in the past, she had a shop near here. And her husband had passed away. She was making the stuff by herself with her daughter. Her daughter was helping her in the shop, helping her make the products. And I'm in there one day buying the stuff and chatting with them. I knew the daughter, she's about my age, I guess. And I said that the woman, that's the focus of the conversation here, she was about my mother's age, so her daughter was about my age. So I'm in there one day buying some of their products and sitting chatting. I've known these people for like 40 years, of course, you know, buying the product. And they give me tea, and I'm sitting, we're looking at the products and putting my order in and chatting about this and that. And she drops a bomb. She says, you know, my husband passed away years ago, and we don't know what to do with this business, and you're interested in this. Why don't you, I don't know the exact words she used, because even my Japanese wasn't so good at that time, whatever. So. But she basically said, why don't you take this place, you know, marry my daughter and take over this business. And her daughter's sitting there working on these products, and her daughter just like both of us, we don't want to, you know, her daughter didn't want to say, oh my God, no! And I didn't want to say, oh my God, no, you can't. It's not polite to do something like that. So your face has to show something like, I haven't really thought about that sort of thing. It must have been hilarious to watch both me and this girl, you know. Both of us, we did not want to do this. Clearly she didn't want to do this, and I didn't want to do this, but the mother had just dropped this into the conversation here, you know, so. It must have been classic to see our faces, you know, wanting to reject this idea, but if you reject it outright, it's not polite to the other person, you know, so. Well, we got the temple gate, obviously. We've got the temple gate, and in the original there were a few scattered bits here and there, which were kimono colors, you know, people's kimonos. You know, the original designers just wanted to get a random group, some blue, some red, some purple, some whatever. You know. But of course the registration here is so tight and so bizarre. So I don't want to overdo this, but we've got to put a few in. If we don't have any kimono things here, then when we try and print this, your baron doesn't balance well. But if you've got too many, the registration gets a bit too hairy. So I'll just pick up a few that what I think match the original. Just little dots here. The other problem too, little isolated dots by themselves are tough to print. If there's a cluster of dots, it's okay, you can run your baron across them. But little isolated dots are really, really tough. But let's do this, let's copy the original. Okay, I think we've got it. It's mainly about the temple, a couple of shops in the background here, and isolated people here and there. So let's find a clean spot on this wood, paste it down. It's not that one, which one? What did I do with the wood here? And the wood we're using here, this is also wood scavenged. This is from some old block set that I got years and years and years ago, just random old color blocks, totally unusable. So I'm using bits and pieces of them. And I will now try and find a space on here I've got anywhere I can use. Try and get a space that will print this cleanly and clearly. There's lots of problems with it. If we went somewhere around here, that puts the temple up in a clean area here. we've all been in a situation when if grandma tries to marry you off, really. I don't know. That's not a situation I have been in, you know. So, yeah, it wasn't a strange idea, you know. She knew I was interested in this craft. She knew I was good at this. It wasn't actually a bizarre idea. I mean, from the mother's point of view, and from her point of view, it was a great idea. The daughter would be happy, Dave would be happy, the business would continue. It was a great idea from her point of view. Just, you know, whatever, you can't program stuff like that. You know, so maybe she should have been a bit more subtle. She should have, "Why don't you come over for dinner tomorrow night?" or something like that. The young girl now actually has the business. The mother has passed away. And the young girl, who's really, really friendly, nice young girl, she's my age, she's the young girl in my mind. You know. She is really, really a pleasant person. Still doing the business over just around the corner here. Okay, so what we're doing here is I know now the zones that I want on here, and I'm simply trying to make sure the color that I want lines up with the clean part of this block. This is a block, it's 100 years old. It's been damaged, beaten up, there's some scratches on it, there's some knot holes in it. So we can't just randomly use our thing, place it at the corner like we normally do. We are looking for a clean zone here, where no defects on the block are going to match up with the red part here. I think we're okay. Let's do this. It's a dark chunk of cherry. You'll see actually when we start carving. Well, you see what I did today. The one I did last night, it's a dark chunk of cherry. It's oxidized. Cherry oxidizes really, really, really quickly. When you carve something, I've had this experience, I'll be carving one morning or whatever. The cherry has a certain color it has, you carve a bit out, it's instantly a bit lighter. Here it's dramatic because you've got a 100-year change. But I'll carve it out, it'll be a bit lighter. I'll go for lunch or something, then come back, carve some more in the afternoon, and you can see the difference in color between the stuff that was exposed in the morning and the stuff exposed in the afternoon. Something in the cells or whatever starts to oxidize straight away, and cherry really, really starts to go darker brown instantly. And this is, of course, 100 years of exposure. You'll see this in a few minutes. This is nice brown now, but as soon as I start carving this in a few minutes, it will expose an interior untouched wood. This is not the hardest wood in town. This is a color block. And it's a color block that's also quite a bit dried out. Never quite get those 90 degrees. There's a slight little epilogue to that story too about the lady who asked me to get her daughter. When we did open the Asakusa shop, I think what must have happened was when I visited her that day and she put that idea in, I think I must have said something like, "Oh no, I couldn't." I'm trying to think of what to say. "Oh, I couldn't live downtown. It's too noisy. I wanted the beautiful, the quiet, peaceful life out there." Something like that. I don't remember. I must have mumbled something like that in my desperate attempt to get through the conversation politely. So no problem, then it goes out of mind, it's not mentioned again. Then we move forward X years, and Dave opens this Asakusa shop, which is actually just around the corner from that lady. And she came to the opening, with some flowers, and she looks at me. something, you know, I'm like, I didn't even really remember what's going on, you know, at this point I don't know what's going on. She says, you told me that you didn't like being in a noisy... It was all in fun. They were really, really nice people. The elderly lady was really nice to me over many, many years. I did a story about that couple in my newsletter back at the beginning. You know. There's nothing bad here. There's nothing at all. It was all... It might be a tad confusing, I know, we've missed part of the picture here. What's going on? It doesn't matter. We need the red temple area. We don't need the sky here. And rather than get the block is much more damaged down at the bottom here, so just move the whole thing up. It doesn't matter, as long as we've got the area. You can see some of those original blocks, they're not full size. Even this one, whether it's trimmed because of the fire or whether, no, I think that's the original size. They would have used a smaller piece of wood just for a smaller part of the image. I did that for my scroll print. I made a big scroll print. It's a meter high and this wide and whatever, but I didn't have 15 blocks that were all that high. Some of the blocks are much smaller. Well, the way Dave gets agonize over each step. I used to agonize over each step. It's experience, you know. 40 years counts for something. 40 years counts for something, you know. So, how do I register smaller blocks on a print that large? The scroll print I did. You know, this is a. If you go to the website, I know woodblock.com. Here, I'll put a link in. 8 to 8. I think that's the link. There's a bunch of photographs here showing what I did. I made a jig that fit on the table that had the registration marks on the jig. The registration marks were not on the blocks, they were on the jig. The paper fit into the same place on the jig. Then each time I needed to print a color, the blocks fit ka-chunk into the jig. And I had a bunch of shims and blocks. So the block for the background, big background, was the full-size block. It came ka-chunk into the jig as it was. the block for the face area, just a part of it, I put what you call filler blocks, spaces. I need one 15 centimeters, 20 centimeters, whatever. I had it all worked out. I put the filler blocks in first, put the face block in, clamped it, ka-chunk, and then away we go. And I had the registration marks were movable, so I could do the final adjustment to the registration marks. I built a separate printing environment for that single print. But the idea of having registration marks not on the blocks, it's very common. It's called soto kento, outside registration marks. And it's very, very, very common. And a lot of people, when they're making the postcard prints for New Year's cards and stuff, because the blocks are the same size as the finished print, so what they do is they make a little notch on the table, the block goes ka-chunk, and they put the paper in the notch. Change out the next block, ka-chunk, put the paper in the notch. Soto kento. Okay, let's carve. And for scale like this, I need my scope. Dave needs his crutch. Do I ever? Where am I here? Well, Cameron hasn't been to stream. Cameron doesn't come here anymore. Cameron has been working now. It's been 2 months, I guess. He might be here listening, I don't know. It's been 2 months. And there's 3 things that are happening here. They're all the same. They all happen sort of together to change Cameron's life. One is that his wife was expecting a baby, so he and I talked for this, right through throughout the winter. When the baby comes along, what do you think? Shall you work at home for a while, or do you want to do a paternity leave, or how do we want to work this? And because 99% of his job is email answering and order processing and computer stuff, we came up with the idea that maybe he could just take the computer home and do a sort of semi-paternity leave, whatever. So it was 2 things. The job didn't need him to be in the office doing commuting. He could have worked telecommuted anyway. Then plus the baby on top of that, and then of course what else happened? Bang, that was it. So he left a couple months ago, I guess. I don't know, no idea. We have no reason to change this. I doubt you will see Cameron on another stream unless he decides to drop in one day to come and say hello or something. He's a teleworker, period. Maybe it might work the other way around. As the kids, he's got a 3-year-old plus the new one, and it could be the other way around. He might start to think that, look, I have got to get out of here. Maybe I'll go down to that nice, comfortable, quiet Asaksa place. I don't know. So, but it's up to him at that end. So, Dave, I can tell you, Cameron might be listening, so it's okay. It's all right. I'm not going to say anything nasty. Dave is struggling with some aspects of this. How many hours a day is he working in? Is he touching the computer and stuff like this? And then, of course, all I need is to pay X person a certain amount to get a job done. And as long as the job is done, it's not anything to do with me, whether it's done in an 8-hour block or 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, or one day today and 24 hours the next day. I don't care. It's irrelevant to me. But it's been frustrating to sometimes see he hasn't touched the computer like in 2 days. What's going on? Dave is trying to learn to let go of something that can be let go of. And I have said stuff sometimes that maybe he's thought, Jesus, leave me alone. a little in the back of this. You know what I've been doing? I've been fixing chili yesterday. There's a vacuum lady. The hotel across the street there is deserted. They're not totally out. On recent evenings, there's been one light visible upstairs. So there's a guest in one room or something upstairs. That's one part of the culture and business that really must be in existential crisis. Restaurants are starting to come back to life here. But the hotel business, my God. Someplace like the Asakusa View Hotel is probably going to survive easier because a lot of their business is based on domestic stuff. Hosting meetings, having weddings, Japanese people visiting Tokyo, stuff like that. But the hotels that were clearly focused on foreign business, they are now, of course, well, they're tanking. And if I were in such a business, I have no idea. Basically, you just got to, just either try and hunker down for 2 years or something, or just get out of the business and try and turn your facility into something else. With us, our shop, clearly, the shop itself has no meaning for years now. It's going to be a couple of years. But unlike a hotel, we have an online business. And that's been a surprise to me too the last couple of months. The online work for us is in two parts. There's the subscription prints, which people have asked to get month by month by month. And then there's the single print sales from the website. And subscriptions are, as you might guess, they've slumped a little bit. There's a number of people who said, I'm sorry, I've lost my job, I can't continue this, what should I do? And we just said, please stop, whatever. If you can pick up one day, fine. If you can't, whatever. But the online single print sales, the last 2 months has been the best 2 months we have ever had, online. And we sort of can't understand why. The New York Times yesterday was a report there. What is it? 51% of the workforce is now employed or something in America. 51% of the people who are able to work are actually working. Like half. So half the people are unemployed. And given that environment, there are still people buying things like woodblock prints. So we're sort of a bit astonished at the fact that we still seem to have an online business. And we're not counting on this. I mean, we're just thinking that this is going to disappear any minute now. This is going to disappear. Now, what to do here? Some of the things are easily understood and some don't make sense. There's a white space here in the original block, but nothing matching it on the other side. It's not cut out. This one is cut here, but here they don't match. Some of it's clear. These things are clearly red with the symbol in the middle that's not red. So some of it I can do something sensible here, but some of it's going to have to make up decisions here. Leave that out. If I leave that out on this side, I should leave it out on this side. The original guy didn't. So it's the chance here a little bit to, I think, clean this thing up a little bit. Okay, this looks like a red bracket with a white space over top. So let's do it here, red bracket with a white space over top. It's raining. Getting windy out there. also haven't decided what to do with these old prints from these old blocks. You know, there's so much futzing around involved in these, and the printing is so delicate that we can't just toss these out at the same price we do with our standard postcard size prints. There's no way. You've got to pay the printers more than that. So we haven't decided what to do with these things yet. So the problem with is if I just put them into the normal stock as single sheet prints, package them that way, then they're too small for the price. And people say, hey, how much for a little print like that? What? Now if this was like the postcard size prints are now, they're 4,000 yen, $40. But this can't, I gotta pay Kawai-san more than that, more than that kind of royalty rate for this. So I don't know, but if these go to 50 and 60 for such a small print, you know, I don't know. So what I'll do, I think, for the pricing of these, simply I'll just collect some, I'll wait for a while till I collect some data. I've got Kawai-san's timesheet. I know how much time he spent on that one. He's already finished the Seba print. And when I get his data back from this one, we'll ask him to run a bunch of these. So when I get the timesheet, I'll have more data to go on. In actual fact, how long it takes to make one of these. It's windy, but I don't think it's raining. I think the camera's okay. I'm missing lots here, I'm sorry, excuse me. Laura Boswell has released a whole self-instruction video, so good, cool. I haven't been in touch with her stuff at all. This is happening all over the place. I mean, you know Terry McKenna now, he has an actual online, how to make woodblock prints online thing going up. Fabiola Gil in Spain is doing the same thing. She is now preparing an online set of videos and instruction materials on teaching how to go through and make woodblock prints. It seems that Laura's doing the same thing. This is really an explosion of interesting things happening now here. So it's not just me with stuff on the net. There's all kinds of people now putting up information on how to do this. This is really, really cool to see happening. Looking at hotels from your city to Tokyo at the end of July, business hotel for 37. But be careful, you arrive at Narita Airport and they're going to tell you 2 weeks and document. You throw in a car into a hotel room and you're not allowed to leave for 2 weeks. So before you think about flying over, check the quarantine rules. Absolutely. It's not so simple anymore. Not so simple. Take a 2-week holiday in Japan and spend the entire 2 weeks sitting in a hotel room. And then when you're out of the hotel, walk around town and look at all the empty shutters, closed shutters. So, this is not the time to be taking a vacation. And the airplane trips themselves, my God, they must be just insane. People are wearing PPE on the plane, there's no food, they're wiping everything. Skytree's closed too, of course. Everything's closed, all stuff like that. top area hacked out. Oh, this bottom corner here. It's so difficult to understand what's in and what's out. There's distant buildings, part of the temple roof. Yeah, because there's the temple roof, overlapping the distant buildings. That white part, is that in or out? I think it's out. It's this zone here. Okay, let's just try it. What about that corner? It's out. Okay. Lots of conversations. Sorry about not getting on part of this. I'll enjoy it. I'll have a cup of coffee at lunchtime with a muffin and read through. The muffin testing, you know, I made a batch. It wasn't yesterday, the day before yesterday. I made a next batch for testing, and it was the worst I've ever made. Ishikawa-san was here, and we sliced one up and gave her a little piece, and she put it in her mouth, and like she's trying to be polite, and it was. I should have tested it first. So I saw her face and said, wait, and I cut a piece and said, oh, and take it out and throw it away. And this is something I am not really very good at, but whatever. All you got to do is push through and try and practice bit by bit. But, so far, the struggle is continuing to get the good recipe. Now, how about this? The circular thing at the bottom of the temple pole here. Are they red or is that not red? What they've done here? No. This one is, look at that. The bottom of these posts, there's usually a big flat stone at the bottom of the pillars. This one's got something there and it's been left in a blue color. This one's blue. This one they've put as red. Inconsistent here. What should we do? I think we'll follow the same pattern. We'll always cut too big. I'll cut it in, I'll leave it there so that it comes out red. If it looks strange, we can cut it out later. We can never go back the other way without lots more trouble. It wasn't a question of salt or sugar. It's interesting, I know they were too dense and hard and heavy. So I thought, interesting, it shows you how little I know about this. I did half the batch first, they were too dense. So I thought, okay, stuff is too dense and heavy, so let's pour more liquid in there to sort of make it a bit looser and lighter. And that's backwards, that's the wrong way to go. You do that and the thing clumps up and gets even more dense. I'm learning about this as we go along. And I'm soon at the position where I'm going to cut and run and get professional help on this, because clearly I'm not going to be able to do this all by myself. Bit more baking soda. Yeah, this and that and this and that and this and that. And really the experimentation here could go on for a long, long time. Dave also has been making the classic mistakes in that you get your recipe A and try it, and then moving on to attempt B, I've been changing too many variables at the same time. Instead of just changing one thing and seeing what an effect that has, Dave, in his impatience here, changes one or two or three things, and then of course it's complete chaos. You don't know where you're at at all. But we'll get there one way or the other. The guy in the old days, they cut that space out completely, but I don't think that's right. I think some of these slanted things here, they are red beams. They're support for that roof, I think. This grill is clearly out. It's not red, it's where the statues are. This is out. That should be out. But I think those red slanted things are part of the roof structure, so I'm going to leave them in here, I think. Then what's next? We have clearly a lantern. There's two lanterns, one on each side. That's part of the roof structure. Then there's an open area. Now, what to do about the edge of the roof? In the first version here they had red along the edge of the roof, and it was overlapped here, it came out into the sky. It didn't seem to make any sense. And on the block itself, it's clearly there. There's a red line going up. But, it didn't work. It overlapped into the roof and it overlapped into the sky. So I think I'm going to use executive privilege here and not include it. I'm just going to leave it off, I think. We're going to leave the red on all the structural posts and pillars. I'm going to take the red off the roof. What's the time here? We've got, you're probably already asking about show and tell, and we have an astonishing, I should have mentioned this earlier, I'm sorry, we have an astonishing show and tell today. I don't actually know what it is, and this could be, actually, I should have mentioned this before, this could be involving somebody who's been watching the stream. A box arrived yesterday, a small package arrived yesterday. Actually, we hadn't been expecting anything, so I was busy packing some prints. So it just got put onto the counter and like, okay, whatever, have a look at that later. And I assumed it must be something I had ordered or we got on a Yahoo auction or something. And then when it came later on, I think, okay, actually, what is that thing? I haven't expecting anything from Yahoo auction. What's going on? Was it a food, something I'd ordered a while ago and finally getting delivered? And I really didn't know what was going on. So I pick up the box and look at it. It doesn't say who it's from. It doesn't say where it's from. You'll see. We'll just show and tell. I'll show you. I'm like, what is this? You know, what is this? Try to shake it, and it rattles a little bit. So I shook it, and it rattled. Anyway, yeah, we'll tell a story. Remind me again, 9:15 or 9:20 or something, and we'll see. I did open it, and I peeked, and like, what? And then we'll see it together. We'll see it together. What's going on? Mouse guard. I'm sorry, no idea. They're not Baron muffins. There's two things getting confused here. With the Baron cookie idea is bubbling in the background. It's still background. The Baron cookie idea is bubbling. I showed you too many stories going on at the same time. It's a bunch of things. We have to use the first floor here. The first floor is dead, finished. The Woodbuck print shop for foreigners is dead for 1 year, 2 years, who knows. We can cut and run back to Oming, or we can invent a new business, domestic related. Nothing to do with you guys or foreigners or anything. Nothing to do with anything to do with foreigners. Something else we can do in this physical space for, say, for example, the next 1 year, 2 years, whatever the thing turns out to be. And over the years that I've been living in Japan, any number of occasions, we've had occasions to offer people some of our stuff that we've been making here. We have a tradition here. We say we, it's I, we, whatever. We've had a tradition of making muffins here in my home, going back to the late 1980s, using a specific style and recipe that, how do I get into this, whatever. Western muffins of the kind that you have in Vancouver in Starbucks or whatever, or Whole Earth, they're inedible from a Japanese point of view. They think it's like horse food, heavy, clunky, just heavy. They would not think like, why are human beings eating this? Other side of the coin, the Western like me goes into a Japanese bakery, gets what's purported to be a Japanese muffin, and says, like, are you kidding me? This is nothing but a slice of angel food cake or something, you know. It just doesn't make any sense as a thing that I knew as a muffin. That's okay, because we're using the same word in different ways. One culture has this word using it a certain way, the other culture has the word using it another way. It's like the word mansion. Over where I come from, the word mansion has one meaning, and here in Japan it has a different meaning. So when a person from one culture is suddenly faced with the object in another culture, it's like, this doesn't make any sense. So muffins are one of those things that are in that category. What people here think of as a muffin and what I know of in my own particular area just didn't make any sense. Anyways, long story short, we started making muffins at home using a combination of a Western mix and a Japanese mix. We just used packaged mix. And the very first attempt, just cut it half and half, throw this in the oven, and like, what could possibly go wrong? And it turned out kind of okay. And over the years, I've refined this bit by bit by bit. And offering these things to guests, both Western guests and Japanese guests. And like, whatever, people are always polite when you give them something you've made. Nobody gags right there in front of you, whatever. But the reaction has been not bad. And from Japanese viewpoint, oh my God, where can I get some of these? So that's what the base of the thing is. We're exploring this because there's lots of licensing issues that we may not be able to cross over here. We're exploring the idea of getting in a little bit into the food business here. And it's nothing to do with printmaking, it's just some way that we could perhaps use this physical space in the next couple of years instead of abandoning it and waiting for the foreigners to come back when they may not be coming back in any reasonable time frame. But there are licensing issues, there are all kinds of issues, of course. The food business is a very different business from the woodblock print business. I think that might be now the cutting on the temple area done. I'm not quite sure here. A bit more here. I think that might be it. Next step will be to identify these spots all around the picture here and there and get those as well. That might be the main temple area cut, I think. Let's see, it's 917, okay. Okay, this on a show and tell now. It's possible that somebody here on this stream, on this chat, is responsible for this. If you are, speak up and let me know what's going on. We have what seems to be an anonymous package received. At least when I opened it yesterday, there was a note inside. The note was not signed, and it could be, I'm just not recognizing here that it's my best friend and I don't recognize who it is, so I don't know, whatever. So I'm sorry if I'm going to insult somebody by not recognizing what this is. It came from somebody in Japan. This package arrived yesterday in Bunkyoku, Otsuka, here in Tokyo, an area here in Tokyo. and it's to Mokohankan, not to me, to Mokohankan. There's no return address. That's the post office delivery label, and we weren't here when they first brought it, so they brought it back. So yesterday I cracked it, pop, 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 I cracked it open. This is insane. You're gonna I just had a peek at it. It's insane. There's a letter inside. It's okay, nothing. It looks like the signature is it FF or TT or perhaps am I supposed to know who this is, or is it an anonymous admirer? TT, who do I know with initials TT? It looks like a lady's handwriting. I'll read it to you in a minute, but let's first look at what this is. Is it an H? Oh, that could be an H, yeah, it could be an H. I'm thinking it's a TT. You tell me, whatever, it could be an H, it could be a TT. It looks like a lady, very, very nice lady's handwriting. It doesn't seem to have a Japanese. There's no English spelling mistakes. Everything is normal, perfect English. Anyway. Look at this thing. Too much to talk about the crap. Open it up. This is as far as I got yesterday. The rest is packing. Let's put this aside carefully. It is a 3D printed printing press. There's some kind of handle, the bottom roller turns. This has gears, it obviously goes in here. I don't know if there's an arrow mark, there's some arrow marks. I see, okay. There's some arrow marks here. This presumably, yes, there it is. This goes in. Is this cool or what? There's again, this must be, okay, I get it. This is the thing to lower the top roller. And what have we got here? It's fells! A Japanese shopping bag from Lawson. I mean, what is going on here? What is going on? Is this a decorative object? Does it actually work? What have we got here? It's a bunch of different felts. And here we are. Let's have this letter. I found the pattern for this miniature printing press in an online forum and printed it for you, thinking that someone at the shop might enjoy playing with it. I hope someone finds it fun to mess around with. You can find the instructions. Here, I should let you see this. You can find the instructions, because this is interesting for everybody. Here. You can find the instructions on how to use it at openpressproject.com. All one word, openpressproject.com. There's another website with further instructions too, and it's MakeZine. Can you see this? Is it readable? MakeZine.com/projects/3D printing press. So everybody can see this URL. You got it? Somebody can put this into the chat maybe, whatever. Open Press Project, one word, openpressproject.com. And it's got like holes, you can bolt it down to the table. I'm not sure what it's made of. Is it a kind of plastic stuff? How strong would it be? And who is this? There's no email address, there's no return address, there's no nothing. I can't. Handwriting familiar? I don't know it's handwriting. Whatever, this is just so much fun. Of course we're going to play with this. I'm really, really nervous about breaking it. I know it's some kind of plastic stuff, so I'm not sure how much pressure it would be safe to put on it. Yeah, I see this thing pushes that down. wait, how does that work? Oh, I see. It's loose now because there's no felts in there. You would need felts in there to actually apply the pressure. I get it. Let's just see if we can get one through there. Yeah, you can feel it. It feels like a press actually. It's got a bit of tape. And after you've got a couple of felts in there, you can then push this down further. So, but the roller is going to be loose in the travel thing, but the travel thing now is almost at the bottom already. The travel thing is at max bottom, I see. So you would back it off depending on how many felts. We are going to try this. Of course we're going to try this. No, it's plastic. No, it's not brass. I don't think. It's sort of goldy color, but I don't think it's metal at all. I don't know. I'm sorry. It's not so heavy. It feels like, looks like 3D printed PLA. I don't really know. I'm sorry. I don't know. When we try this, we are going to be very, very, very careful. Light pressure at first. Anyway, whoever you are, if you're here or watching this, please let me know who you are. I know. What can I say? Please let me know who you are. Somebody living in Japan, I would believe a Westerner, Miss H. Who do I know whose name starts with H? I don't know. I'll have to start looking through my files. I don't know. Yeah, okay, the second URL appears to have instructions. Okay, I will read them before trying to do anything dangerous with this. I will read this, yes. Well, hopefully at some point this person will step forward. Of course, I'd like to send something. I'm not sure what this corner here is for. There's a notch in one corner. Why would that be there? Well, a notch in both corners. Why would those be there? It's got arrows. It's clearly saying do this way. There's another arrow on the base. I'm not sure why the notches would be there. Maybe to pull it through? Polylactic acid, PLA. Okay, whatever. I will look this up, do some research. And if we try this, we should maybe try it one day on one of the streams or something. Who knows? These are pieces. This is a joint. It's piece A and piece B put together and held with a butterfly thing. If you see them on the other parts here. Here, look. You can see. So it's a left piece and a right-hand piece, as made in a 3D printer, then put together and held with 1, 2, 3 butterfly joints. So it's probably 2 identical pieces which come together to form a left and a right hand side. That would simplify the design. Obviously 2 identical pieces that come together. Piece 1, piece 2, then the 2 rollers. Anyway, what else can I say? Well, if you're out there, this is so cool. Thank you very much for sending this to us. We will, as soon as we get some time, have a go at this, post some results about it. It will be good fun playing with it. Whoever you are, thank you very much. And please, if you're here, let us know who you are. I'd love to send some prints, say thank you for this, Okay, there we have it. It's 9:30. There was actually another show and tell I was supposed to give. Can I do this? We have 2 minutes left. I got to open this anyway because I have to talk to the girl who did it. So let me do another quick show and tell. I'm sorry. Let me zoom out a bit. Sort of packed too much stuff into one go here. But this is something important too, and I can't wait. I've got to get going on this. So it is a package from Kawai Chiharu, one of our experienced printers. She works at home. She's been working at home for a long time. She's been working at home since before the virus. She was a printer working for us in the shop here till about, 3 years ago. And she had family issues, had to leave, and then came back to us. It's a year or so ago saying, Dave, I got a new place. I'm set up living in my mother's house out in Nagano Prefecture. can I do some work? Now we said, can you do some work? Oh my God. So we've been sending her work for the past couple of years. And it's magnificent, magnificent stuff. She is really, really good. She has been doing some test printing. This last week she's been doing some test printing for me, a project that was carved years ago. You saw the blocks here on this show and tell a year ago. And we now have test prints. You know what it is? Nope, not ramen cats. Good guess, good guess, good guess, good guess. Not ramen cats. It's okay, nothing embarrassing to be wrong with that, because you are close. This is from Kawai-san. She did the printing of the sushi cats for us, the one that's now on Jed's website. There are 3 prints in that series. This is Hanami Cats. It's now getting closer. Let's have a look. That's a Photoshop. Here we are, first ever public explication of this. Is the 3rd in the series. There's 3. There's Sushi Cats, which is out in the world, and Hanami Cats and Ramen Cats. And it's taking us a long time to plug through this, but we are getting there. Here you are, the first public viewing of the next one in this series, Hanami Cats. What do you think? Has she pulled it off, or has she pulled it off? Let's have a look. I haven't seen this either, I'm just opening this for the first time. This is carved by Kawasaki-san, our carver over in Kobe. And I did the color separations based on Jed's Photoshop. We sent it to Kawasaki-san to do the carving. And the blocks have been sitting here, sleeping, for it's well over a year to show. Look at this, we have a cat. And another cat. For those of you who don't know, this has nothing to do with the 8 Cats series, or the 8 views of cats. This project was conceived long before that. This is simply a set of 3 prints. Hanami, cherry blossom viewing. Hana, flower, miru, looking at flowers. This is a Hanami party. It's the cherry blossom festival. And look at this, we have different flavors of cherry blossoms. Jed's teacher, Jack is Jed's calligraphy teacher, and he makes tons of puns on this. We have, oh look at this, sakura mochi, real life, and we have dango, sakura dango, and a nice cup of green tea. This is a real high-class Hanami party. And a little bit of osake. Another very, very, very nice one. So I'll scan this, I'll send it over to Jed, and he can start getting everything to the website. When will this be available? Chiharu-san at the moment, she's just finished this test, and would have been started yesterday when she sent me this, she is doing a run of the sushi cats. She did 80 or so at the beginning, they went over to Jed, bang, sold out straight away. This is a second batch of 80. And when she has finished the sushi cats, she will now start. I'm going to approve this, clearly. I'm going to have a look at it carefully. Something needs to be carving and fixed, I don't know. We're going to approve this, and this will be on the website too. We're a month away from having this ready. And then we will then move forward and work on ramen cats. The sake bottle is empty, nay? Does one of these cats have a human foot? Let's have a look at this. What have we got here? That looks like a cat's paw to me. That looks like a cat's paw. Is this the one you're looking at? Maybe she's wearing a tabi. This is an elegant young lady, you know, so she's wearing tabi. Whatever. That's my story. You'll have to ask Jed. The sake cat, of course, he's singing. This is probably Nagauta, shamisen, and Hanami song. There may be a reference to the song in the poem here. I don't know. Hey, I am so happy with this. You saw it here first. We're up and running. Another beautiful, beautiful, beautiful original woodblock print. Thanks, Jed. I gotta get him on Skype, show him this. Okay guys, here we are. It's Saturday morning now. I have got to get going. I've got just so much freaking work to do. I have never in my life been busier. So much for shutting down the shop and having relaxed time. Never ever been busier. We're having a ton of fun. We're going to get through this thing. We're having a ton of fun. The shop is history. It doesn't matter. We have lots more fun things to do. The next 20 years we're going to be a ton of fun. Okay guys, thanks very much. I'll be here Monday morning doing maybe Patreon chibi carving because I've got to finish this other job today and get it out of here. Thanks very much for following in and watching. Interesting or not, I don't know. No idea, whatever. We're just here. And if anybody has information on that press or who it might be, or Miss H, the secret Miss H, please say who you are. Say hello. See you Monday morning, guys. Thanks very much. Bye-bye. Bye-bye for now. Oh my God, so much to do.